Hello, Stitchers. Welcome to Stitch Please, the official podcast of Black Women Stitch, the sewing group where Black Lives Matter. I'm your host, Lisa Woolfork. I'm a fourth-generation sewing enthusiast with more than 20 years of sewing experience. I am looking forward to today's conversation, so sit back, relax, and get ready to get your stitch together. Hey, friends. Hey, it's Lisa from Black Women Stitch and the Stitch Please podcast. And as I say every other week, this is a very special episode because for this episode, we are speaking with none other than Ebony Short from the Baltimore Ravens NFL team. She makes the uniform that puts the team in teamwork. Welcome, Ebony, to the Stitch Please podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, thank you for having me. I love that. That was perfection.
You are inspirational. Ebony is someone I have learned about who has had what feels like two different careers in a very short amount of time. She comes to the NFL from theater and costume design. And so I am so excited to hear your stitching story and how you started in fashion and costuming and end up at one of the most elite top level sporting franchises that there is. So what is your stitching story?
So my stitching story, I probably, it had to be maybe 10 or something, like very young, where I knew already that I wanted to be like a fashion designer and I wanted a sewing machine and so I asked for one for Christmas and my parents got me this, I don't even know where that is, but it was probably some little singer,
Like a toy machine or
almost, but it could sew.
Yes.
It was solid, but it might be the size of my laptop,
Yes.
And I was just over the moon. My father was actually the one who taught me how to thread the machine because he took home ec and all of that. So he was like, well, I could do this. And so I think my first project was probably one of those patch blankets that you make. They give you, all the fabric in the squares and I could just sew it together. And I was so proud of myself.
Of course.
To have made something. And then after that, it just went on to I would make all kinds of things to prom dresses and, my mom got into sewing too. So then we would just generally make our clothes or things like that. And then I went on to study fashion at Parsons. And then that's where I feel like I formally got my real skills. That's where I got the real skills to sewing and pattern making.
Now, it's so wonderful because now you say you are from Baltimore. So Here you are. Your dad is the first person that shows you how to thread a machine. Your mom kind of gets the bug from you, perhaps, seeing you sew and get so excited about it. And then you were making prom dresses in high school.
Yeah. So, I think I made my junior and senior prom dress.
That is fantastic. Do you remember anything about those dresses that stands out to you about those dresses?
I loved both of them, and it really is what initially inspired me to I think really really early on that I wanted to do evening wear. And it was because of making those, and I felt and how I felt just in them, and I was like, oh, this is what it's about. It's it was just when I put these on, and not even just because I made it, but just because I felt really good in it, that it was it transports you, when you're wearing something that you're really excited about, you feel really good in. But I think the one that I probably had the most fun making was my junior prom dress, and I made all these little flower roses, and they were down the center. I didn't even know you could do that, and it wasn't even too hard, but it was one of the first things that I was like, oh, this is and it had all this ruching, and it was so beautiful.
You made rosettes. You made rosettes by hand, and then you hand appliqued those rosettes onto that dress.
Yes.
And you were in high school.
I was in high school. Yeah.
And you said you didn't even know that you could do that. You didn't know that you could create a rosette and put it on the dress.
No, at all. I was and this is out of fact, I didn't, nothing, fully learning, like, as as you're doing, you're learning. The experience is your teacher.
What is this? What excites me about this is that you kind of organically picked up something that a a a design fashion forum mother also did, and that's Ann Lowe. I'm not sure if you might have
Yeah,
learned about Ann Lowe at Parsons, but like Ann Lowe's work as a premier designer, one of the first Black fashion designers, a lot of her work is characterized by the hand rosette.
really.
Yes. And so you can
I
look
don't know.
now at some images of Ann Lowe's
Oh, I love
garments
that so
and you can
much.
see these hand stitched rosettes. And so,
Oh
like,
my
for me,
goodness.
it's giving me chills to think about, 17-year-old Ebony Short thinking, I don't know if I can make a rosette for is that what I call it a rosette? What do you call it when I want to roll up some silk and some flour and make, what do you, what you call it? I don't know. But you
Yeah.
were doing it before you knew it had a name.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
were also sewing for an occasion because when you
Yeah.
say evening wear, even since like the word evening wear just kind of like transports you to like galas and a
Yes.
ball or dances, it's like your whole mindset kind of shifts when you are thinking about formals, is another way.
Right.
So
Right.
you are heading to Parsons with
Yeah.
a head on for formal wear, for evening
Yep.
wear. And what happens in your first few years there? What was your time at
Um,
Parsons like?
so I mean, it's a hard school. I will, it's amazing because you learn a lot.
Yes.
I attribute everything that I know and how I've been able to grow to Parsons and even just living in New York. But um, and you get to be so artistic. So I think what's different than maybe and why I even chose Parsons in particular was because primarily I always enjoyed art. I loved painting and drawing and things like that, and it
Yes.
felt like a school that could combine both design and art and not feel like it was just like um that they were trying to produce designers to just sort of be able to create like what do you like just ready to wear things,
Yes.
sort of
Yes.
like that. And um so the first few years, your first year, you always have to take your like preliminary classes and like sort of, your general electives. And then you get to choose, once you go into your major, you're like what your focus is. And then they still make you learn everything. So even if you're like,
They still make you
I
learn
knew
everything.
I want to do evening wear, like I knew that I was like,
Who
I
cares
already
about
got
these
it.
people and their casual
Yeah,
clothing? I don't care about
exactly.
you and your sweatpants.
I
Okay?
don't care. I don't want
I
to.
don't
And
care.
that was the thing. You had to learn. You had to design.
Oh,
Lingerie. We had to do swimwear. We had to do children's wear. We had to do men's wear. We had to do.
oh my
And what was
gosh.
fun about that though, what's so wonderful though, is because of course, you go in and there's someone who like I'm like I know what I want and this is the next step. I can get very
Yes. You're
sort of
focused.
regimented. Yes, but um something that I'm just also big on, and this is also what helped me in high school too. I had art teachers that really were like, just go explore. Like it was like, we have
Oh.
taught you this, but here's Towson does these art classes,
Yes.
and you could do figure drawing classes there. We can't do it in high school, but you could go there and
Nice.
and so they would just the exposure is you don't know what you don't know, and you don't even know that you might enjoy something until you've
And
experienced it or
childhood's and like that time of frame, that teen, early 20s time frame is a wonderful time
yeah,
to explore that. Your brain is still malleable. You
yeah,
still have that kind of belief, the same
right,
belief that you said, you know what, I want to try to see what a rosette could look like. And then you end up
yeah.
making a bunch. Like it's
And
really
right.
wonderful. Absolutely.
To be really curious, and
Yes.
yeah,
It sounds like you had an excellent arts education as a foundation too, which
yes,
seems
yeah,
like, something that's also um, some folks are very critical of or wanting to not
yeah,
think of it as a waste of money. And it's
for
absolutely
sure.
not. It's never a waste of money to feed a child's
No,
imagination. That is
yeah,
always going to be money well spent. So you are
yeah.
at Parsons sitting there taking these classes with your bottom lip all poked out because you didn't want to take children's wear. Children don't even go out in the evening.
Right. I was like, can I do children's evening wear? But
Children are in bed at night, and I am not making sleepwear.
no, it's so. But it really challenged. It stretched me because there were also things that I ended up enjoying a lot of it. Like I was like, oh, this was kind of cool to do children's wear. What I ended up, what surprised me, and I think which is why they make you do it, is you might go in feeling like, oh, I want to do women's wear and this is going to be the focus. But I had to do menswear for a while, and I was like, I really love designing menswear. I like, and it was weird, but I was like, I enjoyed that it was like there's this structure that exists for men, and then ways to still want to be creative and find new ways to be creative for menswear, because like women, you could have this big flowery printed
Right?
dress, they're not going to necessarily wear that, although over time we could get into a whole evolution of
Yes. Yes.
menswear and women's wear. But um at the time it was like, oh, I really wanted to find new ways
Hmm.
to navigate that. And so that was fun. And all the while, doing these projects, still being able to like be very art focused, and like
Yes.
how I took inspiration in and what I wanted to do with that, um, and watch it grow, that
Yes.
way. So yeah, it was really it was I mean, it's a challenge, but it stretched me so much and helped me to learn so much about like what I could pull from to like grow as an
Yes.
artist and as a designer,
It's like it
was part.
sounds like it really helped to set a very, very broad canvas for your creativity.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
there's so many things that you can pull from or draw from, just a little bit of here, a little bit there, and it's all still you at the end of the day,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
And I
that's
think that was their focus. It was like that they absolutely were like pushing you to learn to find what your voice was and what
mhm.
you needed to say. And you get some hard teachers. Then you're like, what else do you want from me?
I'm already
But it
not
really
complaining
pays
about the
off
children's wear.
tenfold. Exactly. It paid off tenfold for
It paid
sure.
off tenfold. So tell me, how did you get from, we've graduated Parsons, we're working in New York, and then you're heading to Baltimore, because that feels like, I'm sure a lot happened in that time.
Yeah,
But it
yeah,
seems like it sounds like you were pretty settled working for a designer in New York after graduation,
yeah,
and then decided to take a trip home, which became pretty fateful. Like, what was your setup before you even left for that trip home?
yeah. So I started working with a studio, and we would do a bunch of costumes for Broadway and things like that. Which, even that in itself was like, I said, I was like, I want to do evening wear, you know. And I still enjoyed women's wear a lot, and so
Yes.
like things had expanded, but the way that I had designed, I think I always kept getting sort of like advice that like I should explore costuming because
Mm.
I was my designs would become so artistic and sculptural, or that they like I feel like
Theatrical.
I
They
had
felt
to,
dramatic.
yeah, where people were like, oh, you know what, just think about it. And I was like, okay, I was just very open to we'll see. And so I ended up working with this studio. Parsons Mirrors was the first studio, and so we would do things like Lion King and a lot of really big shows like Lion King and Hamilton and Wicked and things like that. And I loved it.
That's
And
incredible.
and then you learn all these skills. And so I think in the same vein of what made Parsons like just schooling, like being able to explore and learn so much, and using that outlet to just like learn and grow. Um, I like carried it through really everything that I've done, which is like, all right, let's try this now. And I don't know what the deal is, but I feel like I'm going to learn a lot, and this could be really fun, And
Yes,
so I
yes.
started that, and then and so then then worked with another studio, was John Christensen, and same thing. So I would do a lot of women's wear, even there. Like I would be like the dressmaker, or we'll put patterns together and give it to like our stitchers. But but then I also became known for the one that would like help the millinery department or help
Wow.
craft, because I would just jump on
Right.
the things, and then I would learn, and then I could work fast. So I was like, I was just down and game to like help out wherever I could. But I ended up always being able to learn so much from those experiences. And so then when I started to leave, I had decided that I was going to leave New York because it was just getting hard, and I was at the time like it was affecting my body, and I was like,
Mm.
it's time to go. And so I was like, okay, well, let's go to California. I can still work. I'll just do more film, and then in the transition of moving, that, the plan was to like move to California and like freelance and do all this, work there. And I fortunately, like, I was so blessed at that time that I was like, I had worked enough doing like, whether it was in these studios, on cruise ships, or commercials, or on set tailoring, that like people, like, I didn't have to necessarily like interview for a job. It was just
Yes,
like, oh, I
yes,
know a girl that could do this, and
yes.
so it was, so like, I was blessed in that. So I was like, yeah, I'm just going to move to California. We'll do this thing. I'll finish this job with John Christensen, which we were doing, I think, for Disney on Ice. And then I think I like had like a couple months in between before I needed to be out in LA, and happened to see this job for the Ravens looking for a sewing manager. And I was like, I don't know about this. Like, I already was like, what does that even,
What does that even mean?
what does that even mean? I wasn't even sure what that entailed. And I think I told my mom about it, and she, of course, wanted me to be home. And I was like, I'm
Mm.
not staying here. Like,
It's like, I don't even know what a sewing manager is. I'm telling you,
yeah, I don't know what they
I've done
want.
millinery, I've done tailoring on site,
Yeah,
I've sewn on a boat, I've sewn on site, I've
yeah.
sewn on a film. I don't know what this sewing manager does.
I don't know what. Yeah, I was like, what? And so, your brain can like make up. I was like, oh, they probably have people that maybe work on uniforms to probably pay. Like, I was already making up what I maybe thought it was, and so I said, you know what? Let's apply. And um and I go for an interview, and still was not really the interview. I was like, I just wanted to know more about what they were
You are a
looking for.
curious person.
I was just very
You are a
yes,
curious person, and
curious
you
about what
and
they
you have
wanted.
had
Yeah.
good success when you followed your curiosity. Your
Yes.
curiosity took you to Parsons. Your curiosity had you
Yeah.
sewing with these different designers and making costumes on Broadway and Disney
Yeah.
on Ice and cruise ships. Your curiosity helped you
Yeah.
learn millinery. Your curiosity made you a really amazing prom dress in the 11th grade.
Yeah.
Why would you not follow your curiosity
Right.
when you are
Right.
at home? So
Yeah.
you followed your curiosity. You went to this little interview or whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
Right. So let's go in the interview and see. Let's just see what they're talking about. Let's see what this actually is. And in the interview, I think I just was like, it was like there was a level of what they wanted, which was like, oh, we have some, so like, we do some alterations, and we kind of have these things that we have set up, but we need someone that can just like manage the people here, and maybe do a little extra. Like, it was like, I feel like a morsel of what they kind of wanted, and then watching it, I was like, oh, you could do so much. There's so
oh,
much more. There's just, there's just all this
this
opportunity
could be
here.
better.
Yeah, this was, which is which is so like, it was just like, it was interesting that even came up for me, because you could walk in and know in the NFL that they can be very strategic about like their rules and what they have in place. And quite honestly, it was so funny, because me having had to work with Disney, and Disney can be very strict about how
Yes.
they want things done and even seen. And you're not taking pictures before it's
Right.
like,
That's right.
they don't play around. And and the NFL is very similar in
Yes.
the same case, where they're like, you're not releasing.
Yes,
you
yes. They
know,
take intellectual property very, very
very
seriously. So, in
seriously.
some ways,
Yeah.
working for Disney and knowing about the different NDAs and all the things you can and cannot do
Yeah.
kind of suited you for working for the NFL, which has, I think, a similar
Yeah.
kind of setup about
Yeah. Yeah.
their intellectual properties.
Absolutely. And so it was interesting, because I think all the while throughout the interview, I just kept seeing all these overlaps that I was not expecting. I don't know. I don't know if I had any expectation, but I definitely was not expecting to feel like, oh, well, this is like this, or this was maybe like that. But we could do this. But they also they didn't know either. They didn't know
Right.
what overlaps. They just brought this girl in. And I say this all the time, and I think starting out with the Ravens, one of the hardest things was most of the people that's working in the NFL or football or sports, usually their background is in sports. They've been wanting to be in sports. This is what their intention was.
Yes.
And so for me, and I'm like, no, I'm the girl, the theater girl that
But have you thought about dancing? Have we thought about
yeah.
glitter?
Correct. So it was like, I was like, how do I mesh this? But all the experience, what ended up happening was like everything that I have done up until that point almost felt like it was preparing me to be able to do this job. And in that, to your point, the curiosity of being like, oh, I'm gonna try to, yeah, I'll make this padding over here. I'll do some of this, or working on cruise ship. Like all of these experiences ended up giving me all these skills that opened up what like this opportunity was, and then even expanding it to something that they were like, we don't really know, we just need help. And then it was like, well, here's how I can, this is what I can bring
Yes. Now,
do it. So that made it really, like, so then at that point I was like, well, then I guess I'm staying. So now,
now you are staying and have stayed. How long have you been
and
there?
have
How long have you
stayed.
been there in total?
This will be, oh my goodness, this will be my 8th season. Yeah.
Wow, 8 seasons. That is a very
Yeah.
big deal. And in addition
Yeah.
to being there for 8 seasons, this year you all have revealed a new uniform for the first time in
Yeah.
26 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
That feels like a big risk. Can you talk a little bit about the some of the like what led folks to this change? Was it because you have a new coach and some new players coming in? Why was this time a good time for a new uniform?
Yeah. You know what's so funny? I mean, all of it, and I think a lot of people, like I've seen some comments and people are like, "Oh, it's coach," and it's no. We knew the uniforms were happening well before the season was even over. So because
Wow.
we had to decide, like it had to be decided to help with like fanatic, like there's all these
The
other
logistics.
factors, the
You
logistics
had to
that
get the
the
fabric
decision needed to
in.
be made back in like October. And so I feel like it really kind of is just alignment, and that it does feel like we have this whole sort of refresh, and that we do have a new coaching staff, and we have new uniforms, and we got it does feel like a completely new team, which makes it even more exciting. But I think for a while there was just talks that it was like it was time and we needed a refresh, and which is also hard because our uniforms are great. Like I think, and I
Yes.
was like, I may be biased, but everyone I talk to also feels the
Yes, yes. I think
same
that
way.
there's some real excitement around the new color, the midnight purple.
Yeah,
Like that
yeah,
feels so amazing. Can you talk a bit about like why midnight purple? What went behind that particular color choice? Because that feels
yeah,
very Baltimore. It feels very Raveny to me, a
yeah,
midnight
yeah.
purple.
Well, and I think it was primarily so this like it's like, and when you get up really close, I wish of course I don't have anything with me, but like it's very iridescent. Um this iridescent purple was just which was really a nice effect, but our uh VP Brad Downs of marketing, who gave it that beautiful name. The
Oh,
inspiration really came from how Raven the bird in general can be reflective. Their wings and their feathers are reflective, and so wanting to have something that also can
yes.
correlate the same thing. And so, like you said, it is very like really. It was like, how do we have an evolution of our uniforms, but still keep the essence of like ravens and still feel intimidating, but like clean and like
Yes.
all these things that you want to sort of encompass, which was hard and was years in the making, and then finally, was able to come to a conclusion. And then this was the release, which has really been exciting. And so it's been fun to see everyone's response to it, because I think that was also like, we don't know, we'll see what people think.
It seems like there's been such anticipation, I think, around
Yeah.
the new uniforms. And you said that there's 4 different styles of uniform, 2 homes and 2 aways, or 1 home, 1 away, and then alternates for each of
So
those.
one home, yeah. So one home, which is our like purple and white. Well, I don't want to say purple and white because you can alternate the
I
pants for the
see.
most part. But our purple jerseys are usually for home, white jerseys are for away, and then same black jerseys are usually for home games. But then that would be considered our alternate. So our black, and then excuse me, our Purple Rising jerseys are alternate. And so some of those, I mean, that also came from like years ago where like Purple Rising was created because it was initially to get Thursday night games to be more watched. And so every
Yes.
team had some sort of color rush, you know, jersey. And then some teams have dropped their jerseys, so like over the
Mhm.
years, you could kind of fluctuate, but our jerseys were pretty cool. So we kept that. And then our all black jersey uniform combination is alternate. And so really you can only wear that limited amount of time. So that's one of those things where the NFL has these rules about how
Yes.
often you can wear your alternates and how, and what's locked in with it, and things like that. But yeah, always. And then we just will switch off between the purple and the white for home and away
It
generally.
feels like such an evolution, but also a powerful alignment. Like you
Yeah.
graduated from high school saying you wanted evening wear because you wanted to sew for an occasion. You liked the idea of when you put on a gown, you knew what you were in for. It's going to be this exciting,
Yeah.
special time. And now you are sewing for an occasion. You are
Yes,
sewing
every week.
every week. You are sewing for an occasion. People, these
Yeah.
men suit up. They put these outfits on,
Yeah.
and then the fans do too. So you have children wearing the jerseys. You've got fans wearing them. So it just feels so powerful to realize that the messaging in the material, in the wardrobe, is something that is so broadly felt. It's like
Yeah.
the uniform is as much for the team as it is for the fans.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and that's something that like I even had to learn. I don't think I've realized like, and even being from Baltimore, Baltimore, Maryland are we're a big football city. That
Hmm.
is always like known. And I grew up watching the Ravens. My father, I come from a football family, so
Yes.
it was sort of ingrained, but I don't think I like it wasn't until really working there was I like, oh, it's just a whole nother level. And so even down to like um if we share what we're wearing that week, like generally sometimes we usually wait because if you're wrong, we get complaints
Oh,
because fans get dressed.
wow.
Fans are like, I was wearing my black jersey to match the black jersey, and if like
Really? So
it,
they will let you know. They were like, listen, you
yeah,
done messed up.
you
So
you were supposed to wear this, purple, but then, and what's funny is like there's a lot of things that come into play on why things might switch up and things can change all the time. But
mm,
like, yeah, and so even I used to tell my staff, like, you don't tell people, like, because it turns into if we have a plan to wear, let's say, purple and white that week, and it gets out a little earlier, it could turn into a bigger deal because fans are also a part of this is the experience for them
yes,
as well.
yes.
Um,
So when do
you
you
know,
make that determination? Do you say, okay, well, we're not going to announce? Do you have to announce? Like, because I can definitely imagine if something has to change between now and then, I don't want to be the one people mad at
yeah.
because they didn't pick the wrong shirt.
Yes. So I mean, so generally we usually get a schedule
Oh,
that we're supposed to abide by, and then that will change. But generally I think in the past few years we've been more open to about midweek that we usually share what we're wearing. Um and then for the most part, and like knock on wood, I say this and watch come this season, you're gonna be like, every time y'all said y'all were wearing this, they they switch it up. And trust me, I don't want to switch. I want the plan. But normally, knock on wood, we usually by that point, because for me, I also have to have everything done by Wednesday.
yes.
So like no matter what, if we're playing on Sunday, we are
Right. Yes.
uniforms for that week have to be done by midweek. And then there might be onesie Tuesdays that I am still throwing together the very last second, the day
Hmm.
before, to try to get these guys ready. But the majority of the work has to be ready. And so by that point, if something has changed,
Hmm.
I am also upset. So let's also note that if
Listen, no one's
there
happy
has to
here.
be
We're
a
all
switch,
upset.
no one's happy.
Now, you talked about doing on-site, construction that you need to do, like on the theater or something kind of tour. Do you just have a bunch of alternative jerseys if pants or shirts or something get torn during play?
Yeah. So everyone has a backup. All the guys always have a backup, and we have a bunch of backup pants because
Okay.
that can always be a thing to try to like prepare. And then generally also knock on wood, but like generally we get some pretty bad blowouts in parts of the games, but no one at least has gone through two jerseys.
Oh,
So
wow. Okay. Well, that's
so they can,
good.
yeah. So we usually try to prepare. And then if there's situations where like someone's sizing, like if something's weird or someone's wearing, like maybe they're injured, they're wearing an extra padding, or like we'll have
Aha.
extras to sort of, prepare for that. And then one of the equipment managers, he's really good at like he'll MacGyver a thing together, and sometimes he'll come back and he's like, I'm sorry. I tried my best.
It's like, I need this.
I used some shoestring and I was like, and it worked. It kept it.
It kept it together for a couple more minutes,
It kept it together for a few more plays, and that's all we needed, So, so we definitely, we got a good team that keeps them all sorted together. But we do a lot of, like, I like to think, like, because we also wear game jerseys for practice.
Yes.
Which, like, can be creates a lot more work sometimes, but it also helps, like, figure out and sort out a lot of the issues beforehand.
Oh,
and so
that's
even
so
like
smart.
yeah, it helps a lot. So like next week, we'll be in our first set of mini camps, and we'll be wearing our game jerseys, and then I'll be able to see guys and maybe how their bodies have changed, or if they bulk. Like, there's things that I can already solve that by the time we get to game day, the goal always is that then we're not having any issues. And then if there are issues, it's just purely off of the game, off of the nature of ramming into
another person.
Men.
Yeah. Yes. At very strong
you're
rates.
Not like, there's not things that they're like, I can't do this, because really the goal is like, and what I say all the time is we create performance wear. It's like, how do I best create something that you can do with your job to the best of your abilities? And so, if these guys come in and they need it let out, or arms, or, something opened up, I want to solve that before game day.
Absolutely.
And so,
absolutely.
we kind of get to solve a lot of that before we get there, because we wear it during practice.
I love that. This has been such an amazing conversation. I have just loved to hear so much about the alignment, so much about how things have just come together, and how you were willing to bet on yourself. To trust your curiosity. And so thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I have to ask you the question that we ask all the guests on the Stitch Please podcast, and it is this. The slogan of the Stitch Please podcast is that we will help you get your stitch together. Ebony Short, sewing manager for the Baltimore Ravens, a stitcher of many, many seams.
Yes.
What advice do you have for us to help us get our stitch together?
I've got to get a shirt with stitcher of many seams. I love that. Honest, you know what? The advice that I can give is literally that. I think it's like, let my life speak for me, just be open and evolve, and all the while be very intentional about mastering your craft, and so you never know what weird thing that you learned that you're like, I will never use this again. You do. I stand as a witness, but also work really hard to to be good at what you do, and care about the quality and what you produce, and just be open to learning and evolving, and you'll be surprised where that, will take you.
Thank you so much, Ebony Short. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. This is incredible. I could talk to you all day.
Same, girl, same.
You've been listening to Stitch Please, the official podcast of Black Women Stitch, the sewing group where Black Lives Matter. We appreciate you joining us this week and every week for stories that center Black women, girls, and femmes in sewing. We invite you to join the Black Women Stitch Patreon community with giving levels beginning at $5 a month. Your contributions help us bring the Stitch Please podcast to you every week. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your support, and come back next week and we'll help you get your stitch together.